The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Season 2. Episode 2. After pointing directly at the church and stating his resolve, Luca suddenly bowed his head. He said slowly, "You probably don't realize how serious the problem is. The real thing the priests here wanted to summon was the demon lord. Once they succeed, it will be a disaster for humans." Hearing what Luca just said, there were many things I didn't understand, so I asked him again, hoping for an answer. Luca slowly answered me. The Taoists in that church were originally like me, a sheep of God. But over time, they were fascinated by the power of the demons from hell. They gradually separate themselves from the church, sinking deeper and deeper into the path of sin. They worship power to the point of madness. To gain power, they can do anything. But they don't know that they are being used by the demon lord. Hearing what Luca had just said, Valentine didn't quite believe it. She said, "Aren't you exaggerating? There's no way the devil can destroy this world. If that was true, this world would have been destroyed long ago." As for myself, I have always believed in science, things that I have encountered recently. I believe that one day it can be explained by science. As for Big D, he immediately said, "Seems like you've been through so much with Gregory and me that you still don't fully believe. In the spiritual world, many things cannot be explained by science." Gregory's ability is also a testament to that. We talked as we walked and soon reached the church parking lot. It seems that there are not many people who come here to pray. Before we got out of the car, Luca took out some items and gave them to us. He distributed them while saying, "This is holy water and silver nails, very useful tools for dealing with demons. You've also seen its power before." Each person took some to protect themselves. After receiving the silver nails and holy water bottle from Luca, Big D immediately took them in his hand to examine. Seeing Big D staring at them intently, Luca added, "Besides dealing with demons, this silver nail can also kill vampires. When I think of vampires, I don't know if they are similar to the zombies you often mention. When I have free time, I have to talk carefully with you guys about this matter." After saying a few more sentences, we got out of the car and headed towards the church. There were quite a few Taoists. Perhaps they had prepared a special reception for uninvited guests. As we got closer, an elderly ascetic spoke up to stop us. "Everyone stop. No one is allowed to enter the church at this time. Mass is being celebrated inside. Hope you understand." Hearing this, Luca immediately spoke up. "You say that is not true. There is no rule that prohibits no parishioners from entering the church to pray. Even when Mass is taking place, it is what you are doing that is against the rules." Knowing that this excuse could not be used to stop us, the Taoists had to step aside to make way for us. When I passed these Taoists, I felt a strong yin emanating from them, which spiritual practitioners cannot see. In addition to their strange behavior, they always crouched low as if avoiding our gaze. Although they intentionally wore loose robes and covered their heads with hats, one could see the monstrous details in their appearance if the eye was sharp. From this, I guess that these people are the same people who used their bodies to summon demons in the ritual that I have seen. Before we entered, the old Taoist warned us. I have already warned Father and everyone. The fact that people voluntarily enter the church is voluntary, not forced by us. If anything happens, don't blame us for not informing you." While speaking, perhaps a little agitated, the hood of this ascetic fell off, revealing pale skin like a dead man. Also, from his attitude, I could tell the vigilance they had for us. Seeing the Taoist's attitude like that, Big D couldn't help but say, "What do you mean? The church is a place of sanctity and purity. It's a place where people go to pray. Why talk like it's scary in there?" Knowing that he had made a mistake, the Taoist suddenly fell silent, not daring to speak Big D again. He pursed his lips as if he were holding back, his face flickering with anger, but it disappeared quickly. At this moment, the church door suddenly opened. The old Taoist raised his hand to do up his hood. Then he turned inside and shouted, "Someone has come to join the prayer service." From the tone of his voice, we knew that he was trying to inform his comrades inside and prepare to deal with us. This we had calculated in advance, so it was no surprise. We slowly entered the church. As soon as we entered the church, the two doormen immediately closed the door. I immediately looked around. Everything here gave me a chilling feeling. At the same time, a few Taoists approached us. Their gestures were very mysterious. I wasn't the only one who felt the anomaly. Valentine was also on high alert at this point. Seeing that, Big D whispered, "They're ready to act. Everyone pays attention." Although we told us to be careful, it was Big D who made the first move. When seeing the Taoists approaching, Big D couldn't help but shout, "What are you waiting for? If you let them surround you, don't expect a chance to resist." While saying that, Big D curled his fist. The sound of his fingers immediately cracked. As soon as he finished speaking, Big D immediately threw himself up, aimed directly at the nearest Taoist and launched an extremely powerful hook punch. This Taoist was so surprised that he could not avoid it and immediately received Big D's punch. His hood was also tilted to one side, revealing an extremely scary face. It was no longer a human face but the face of a demon. After Big D's big punch, the demon appeared in its original form. It immediately opened its mouth full of sharp teeth and blood-red tongue towards us. It turned out that the normal human face was just a disguise of these demons. It is not difficult to see through here that all the Taoists here have turned into demons. As soon as he faced the scary face of the demon, Big D froze. By now, he must have felt some of my feelings. I also froze when I first saw the demon in the woman's subconscious mind being skinned. While Big D was still dumbfounded, the demon raised its big hand. The hand with long fingers and sharp claws prepared to attack Big D. Seeing the demon's terrifying hand, Big D seemed to come to his senses. He put his hands over his chest to block the demon's blow. The power of this demon is immense. Big D's body was so big, but he was also knocked back by the demon's arm for a few meters before he could stop. Seeing Big D in danger, I immediately rushed over. While running, I took a bottle of holy water in my pocket, quickly threw it towards the demon so that it could not continue to attack Big D. The demon was splashed with magic water in the face, then it stopped. Thanks to that, Big D avoids danger. But the demon only paused for a moment, as if this holy water had no effect on restraining it. On the contrary, it makes it even more insane. It turned its hideous mouth towards me, raising a voice that sounded like defiance. The saliva in the demon's mouth followed the roar and splashed onto my face. While dodging me, I exclaimed, "Luca, what is that? Didn't you say that this magic water is their antidote? Why doesn't this demon show any fear?" At my question, Luca also showed a thoughtful expression. After thinking for a while, Luca replied to me, "This magic water is inherently very effective in exorcism. Perhaps these demons are summoned directly from hell, so their power is superior to the demons I usually encounter. To deal with them, you have to combine silver nails as well." Hearing what Luca just said, I was dumbfounded. Only knowing how to quickly dodge the attack from the demon, this time, turned its attention to me. Then Luca opened his notebook, searched it and said to me, "Try to hold it off for a moment. Let me figure out how to deal with it. Each type of demon has its own weak point. I'll definitely find a way. By the way, Try to keep it away from me in the meantime." Once more, Luca stunned me. While dodging the demon, I shouted, "Are you kidding me? Now is the time to do research. Wait until you finish your research. It has already killed me. It would be better to come over here and help me deal with it." As soon as I finished speaking, I threw a powerful punch to its face when I saw the demon's loophole. Immediately, I wish I hadn't. As I punched the demon in the face, I felt as if I had punched a steel wall. While his face didn't have a single scratch, my hand felt like it was about to break. Looks like these demons are harder to deal with than the zombies and demons I've encountered so far. It only took a second without noticing that the demon's claws were right in front of me. Because the distance was too close, I didn't have a chance to dodge. I could only watch the demon's claws slowly pounce in front of me. At that moment, a gunshot rang out. The bullet accurately pierced the demon's hand, saving my life by a fraction. Immediately, I jumped back to get away from the demon. The person who just had a shot at rescuing me was Valentine. The bullet just flew past my head, making my legs soft. If Valentine's hand trembled just a little, I would be dead. Seeing that, Big D immediately approached me and said, "Let me see, the handsome face is almost gone. Why were you so energetic in the beginning? Why are you now letting him beat you up?" The danger had passed, and I thought of how to deal with this demon. I immediately turned to Big D and said, "Looks like the usual methods of exorcism don't work on these demons. Let's try a combination of all the methods." Hearing what I said was quite reasonable, Big D immediately started to do it. Big D quickly poured magic water on the peach wooden sword's body. He also used red threads to tie silver nails to the sword's body. After finishing everything, Big D immediately handed the sword to me. For extra certainty, Big D also gave me a demon rope. Looking at the sword in Big D's hand, I don't know what to call it. Handing everything over to me, Big D said, "Time to show off, kid. Show these demons what pain is." With the somewhat odd weapon in hand, I hope it can tame these demons. Otherwise, the four of us will surely die here. If successful, this will be the first combination of East and West in exorcism. First, I started with the weapon that I trusted the most, the demon rope. I threw it at the demon to lock it up. The demon rope quickly wrapped around the demon's arm, considering that the first step of locking the demon was successful. After firmly grasping one end of the rope, I quickly stabbed the dug wooden sword straight into the demon's arm. As expected, our combined weapon worked. The demon's arm was instantly ripped off. But it seems these demons don't know what pain is. A broken arm that acted as if nothing had happened. Its eyes were still fixed on me. What a monster born only to kill. At this moment, Luca came behind me and said, "It seems that it is very difficult to destroy these demons. The only way is to recite the exorcism to expel the demons from the body where they reside." With that, Luca stepped forward, held out his cross in front of the demon, and began to pray. Luca continuously reads out the scriptures used for exorcism. Finally, he ended by saying, "On behalf of Jesus, I banish you from this man, go back to hell." Indeed, this method worked. The demon immediately appeared to writhe in pain after hearing the scriptures read by Father Luca. A hideous mouth protruded from the center of its belly, and sharp teeth instantly tore through the Taoist's clothes, accompanied by terrible roars. Thought the demon had been subdued and it was over. But that's not it. In its final writhing, the demon hurls its tentacle with its mouth full of teeth at Luca. As if knowing he was about to be banished back to hell by this priest, the demon tried to attack Luca so he could save his life. Before that situation, Luca showed no fear. He stood still and did not dodge. His mouth continued to read Bible verses. Sure enough, the demon could not harm Luca. The demon's hideous mouth froze in front of Luca's face for about an arm's length. It couldn't move any further. Luca's confidence increased. He continued to raise his cross and read the Bible. The demon seemed to be controlled by an invisible force, only knowing how to open its mouth wide and growl. After a while, the demon became completely motionless, as if it had been petrified. At this moment, Luca, trying to stiffen up, said with difficulty to me, "Gregory, it's this time, do it quickly." I immediately woke up. While Luca tried his best to control the demon, I swung the sword in my hand, slashing at its tentacles. Instantly, the large tentacle of the demon was sliced in half. At the same time, Luca also shouted, "On behalf of Jesus, I banish you to hell forever." Immediately, the demon returned to its original form. It continuously howled in pain. Soon after, I noticed that the demon and the Taoist body it borrowed to come to this world gradually separated. A few seconds later, the demon had completely disappeared. The Taoist gradually returned to his normal form. The Taoist's body slowly knelt down and fell on the floor. I was about to go over to see how the Taoist was. Suddenly, Luca yelled, "Watch out, behind." On reflex, I stopped and immediately turned around to see what was going on. When I turned around, I was suddenly startled. The person Luca just warned as Valentine. Now she is being attacked by a demon. It just dropped Valentine's gun. Compared to the demon Luca and I just defeated, this demon is much bigger and more ferocious. The shape of this demon is extremely strange. It has a pair of bat-like wings accompanied by extremely large and sharp claws. In the center of its chest was an extremely wide mouth with countless sharp teeth. Now it is jumping high to attack Valentine. Seeing the demon rushing over, Valentine quickly moved to the side to avoid. But the demon quickly grabbed her hands and pulled her into the air. Everything happened so fast that Valentine barely had time to react. After the demon grabbed Valentine, it immediately flew away. If I don't think of a way quickly, I don't know what will happen to Valentine. At this moment, Big D was the first to react, shouting, "Gregory, come over." Along with the sentence, Big D crouched down, I immediately understood what Big D meant. I ran over to him. Quickly jump on Big D's shoulder. Me and Big D work very well together. With that bounce, I quickly caught up with the demon. In my hands now are 2 silver nails. I know that it's difficult to attack this demon while it's in the air, so I have to hit the demon at all costs. Although it saw me rushing, the demon didn't have time to react in a moment too fast. The 2 silver nails in my hand were instantly pinned to its back. The demon let out a scream of pain. Black blood kept flowing from its mouth and its wound gushed out, indicating that it was not lightly wounded. However, the demon is still very strong. Not only did it not let go of Valentine, but it was strong enough to attack me back. There was no support because I was in the air, so the demon easily knocked out, and 2 silver nails were also thrown out. This situation was beyond all of our expectations. Seeing me fall, Big D rushed to catch me. Luckily, Big D caught me. Otherwise, I would have been seriously injured if I fell from that height without any preparation. After the unsettled landing, both Big D and I were numb all over. Seeing this, Luca ran over to see how we were doing. Then he looked up at the demon. Luca was quite surprised that the silver nails could not control these demons. It seemed that Luca had realized something. Seeing the demon flying away, I could only grit my teeth in anger. Then I asked Luca, "Why are these demons so strong?" Luca then explained that, perhaps because they had been sacrificed so many innocent souls, their power became so terrifying. Luca added that it wasn't the scariest thing yet. If I'm not mistaken, the purpose of these demons here is just to pave the way for something 100 times more terrifying.